Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to our new class here on CAP for our courses of legal English. And we are from English on Life, a subdivision of Aula. And our first class here today, this class is going to be a very interesting thing. Subject that everybody likes to know is, we're going to give you 10 tips on how to draft a contract. So let's go and let's see what we have here for you today. So it's the top 10 tips. It's like a countdown. Like you see on TV, a countdown of the best tips. Here's not going to be really a countdown. It's going to be from the first to the 10th, not in order of importance, but because all of them are important. So let's check our first tip in contract drafting, right? So for you guys that have a little difficulty contract drafting is the writing of the contract. Okay, our first tip, very important one. We see here, clear language. Every contract needs to be very clear. Every contract needs to, the person who reads the contract needs to know exactly what we are talking about. So clear, like clear water, where you can see through. So the contract language has to be clear. Has to be specific. We cannot be going around and talk about different things. We need to have a specific language. Third tip, focused. So we have the language of the contract needs to focus on what we're going to be contracting. So the first tip here, is about language, clear language. An effective contract should always be clear, specific, and focused. Second tip. This one here is also a little bit about languages, right? Sentences should be short. So we cannot have long, stories. We cannot be telling long stories. Remember the first tip, focus. Okay, to be focused, you need to have short languages, short sentences. So sentence should be short to avoid unnecessary complexity. When you have something long, when you have something with a lot of words in there, we get lost in there. So a contract has to be not complicated. So avoid complexity. We have to know where we're going. And ambiguity. We have to avoid ambiguity. What side we go? The sentences, the language has to show us exactly where to go. We cannot be going, this contract means that we have to do this or have to do that. No, it has to be something without ambiguity. So that's our second tip. Third tip. What we have here. Every time you're going to do something, in life, it's good to know to have something to compare. We need to know if what we're doing is within the standards. So what better than that than see something that we can compare, which is a sample. A sample contract is where we can compare what we're doing, what we're drafting, what we're writing. If something that already exists, so it's a sample. So you may want to look at the sample agreement. So you have agreements. Okay, I'm going to do a contract, a real estate contract. I get a sample of a real estate contract. I'm going to do a work contract. I get a sample of a work contract. And compare. So before we draft our own contract, let's get one. Let's get a sample and compare it. Okay, coming right down here in our list, our fourth tip. So what we have to do, we have to make sure all party names. What are party names? Party is a word that has many meanings. A lot of people think a party, last party. Okay, that's one meaning. A party in a contract. What's a party in a contract? Is the people or the organizations that are entering in the contract deal. So if it's a contract between me and my landlord, I am one party. The landlord is the other party. It's me and my boss in my company. I am one party. My company is the second party. So make sure all party names means everybody involved in the contract, no, are accurate. Look at a little chart here. I'm making a list of regrets just to be accurate. How do you spell your name again? That's a little funny thing, but it's very important. You gotta ask, no, the other party, if you're drafting the contract, or no, yours, of course, you know exactly how you write, but be sure that it's accurate. Be sure that the other party's name is listed as it is, it is in their documents if it's a company, or it's in the personal IDs of the if it's an individual. Make sure of that. Include their business titles if applicable. Let's say you are getting into a contract with a CEO of a big company, and you're gonna write the name of the CEO, a comma, CEO. Okay, you have to write the title. If it's a contract, it's a business contract, the titles of the parties have to be explicitly shown in the contract. Okay, that's an important thing. Don't forget that. Okay, so fourth. Let's go a little bit ahead. Fifth. What is our fifth? Outlining. What's an outline? An outline is like a little scheme that we create every time we're going to do a plan. What's a contract? A contract is, in a way, drafting a contract is like putting a plan into paper. So when you outline something, you have two ways. You can make like something like this. No, points. First, I'm going to talk about who the parties are. Second, what is the consideration of the contract? Okay, we're going to go back to consideration. Don't worry about what's consideration. We're going to go back to that. Third, what is being offered, or what is being, the rules, the clauses, the little details of the contract. We make a scheme. We make an outline. This is what outline means, a scheme. It can be done like this. It can be done like this. No, this is a more classic format, right? And then we have the offer, the acceptance, the consideration. So that's equal the contract. So we make a big scheme. So why is this important? Make these schemes to aid clarity. Okay, when we are writing a contract, schematizing the contract like that aids clarity, brings clarity to the paper, and allow for quick reference to certain clauses. So when you are really drafting, then you say, what was the clause about the delay in payments? So we're going to go straight here to the point, delay in payments. Okay, this is going to be clause 4. It's easier to, when you draft a contract, when you write that contract, to find out exactly where everything is. So that's why that's important. Our 6, define important terms. Of course, like if you have in a contract and you write anything there, a term that, let's say specific term, where you're going to a contract, let's say a contract about buying stocks or bonds with a brokerage house. So you have a bunch of terms there that are specific to deals with the market. Not everybody knows that. A client might not know that. So every time you mention a term that it's not so clear to the larger population, you have to define what that means. Okay? So every term that is important needs to be defined, right? So we have a little chart here, the importance of defining your terms, right? We have here, what's a dog, right? The girl says, oh, the dog is some guy that you met in a bar, right? It's a little funny thing. But yes, every time you mention a term, you have to say what that term is in the contract. So let's define important terms. Okay? Next one. Here it comes the fun. Anticipate litigation. What's litigation? Litigation is when you fight. You write down a contract, and then what happens? One of the parties decide not to fulfill their part, fulfill their promises in the contract. So it breaks the contract. So what happens? You're going to go to court. You're going to start litigation. So obviously, not every contract is going to end up in litigation. They're not designed for that. No, what we design is a contract that the parts will be, fulfill their obligations. But you need to anticipate litigation. It means you need to, okay, and if it doesn't work, what we're going to do? We're going to go to court. So everything related to going to court has to be anticipated. Litigation means fight. Means we're going to go to court. So how you do that? You're going to include clauses in the contract, sections in the contract regarding venue. What's venue? Venue is where the litigation will take place. So is it going to be in an arbitrage, through an arbitrage agency? Is it going to be through court, through federal court, through state court, local court, as I said, arbitrage agencies? So you have to specify in the contract how that will be litigated, right? So you have to specify there the venue. Choice of law, no? What's choice of law? This is very important everywhere, actually, because not all laws are the same in different states, in different municipalities, So what law from what part of the country you're going to be using? Okay? What is more beneficial for you when you draft the contract to say, if you're going to have problem here, it's better to use the law of the state of Rio, let's say. So let's choose the venue in Rio using the laws of the state of Rio. So it's very important to choose what law you're going to be using. Federal, state, municipal, right? Or if you're using arbitrage. And attorney fees. Oh, that's the most important one, right? You got to say, who's going to be paying for all this fight? It's sometimes it doesn't say in the contract. If we go into litigation, the party who loses it will be responsible for all court costs, all attorney's fees. Who's going to be paying for that? So you never go into litigation if you're not sure they're going to be able to pay your attorney's fees. Because there's going to be attorney's fees. There's going to be no court costs. And that better be specified in your contract. Specify very well there who's going to be paying for that. So look at this. If you didn't want to incur attorney's fees, then you probably shouldn't have filed a lawsuit. So remember, you file a lawsuit, you're going to get a cost. And that cost is the attorney's fees. Okay, moving on along, our eighth. All parties should sign the contract. It seems like a silly one, right? But no, it's sometimes that happens. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 parties in there, and then they just send the big head of one company, and then even though it needs to have the signature of other people there, so everybody needs to sign the contract. Everybody that's mentioned, everybody that's a party in the contract needs to put their little signature there, a little autograph in there. So including business types if applicable. So obviously, the CEO of the company, okay, Mr. John, CEO. The CFO, Mr. Peterson, the CFO. Everybody needs to be specified with their titles in the contract. So all the parties. Next. This is another one too that I'll say, oh no, why is this so important? Right? Pages should be numbered. No? Why? Because not everybody is 100% honest out there. No, there is people that want to do not go through the legal right way. No. So if your pages are not numbered, nothing can stop of one of those parties that are not 100% honest to create another page and insert it in the contract. Okay? And what will happen? That becomes part of the contract. In litigation, there's going to be a big fight. Oh, it was not here. It was here. But no, it's your word against my word. So you have to be careful to avoid what? To avoid the appearance that pages could have been added after the agreement was signed. Even though, let's say, everybody's honest, in the moment of litigation, a lawyer fighting for that can say, oh, but this was not here. This doesn't look it was here. Even though it was there, but that can be brought up too. So let's anticipate this problem as well. And be sure that every page is numbered. We're getting to the last. And it's also one that doesn't look very important, but it's extremely important. Proofread. What's proofread? Proofread is to check everything. Read the contract once, twice, 3 times. Check. Give to somebody else. Give it to your secretary. Give it to your assistant. Give it to your boss again. And say, okay, can you please check if everything is in order? Right? So check the spelling. Check the grammar. Check the accuracy. That's extremely important. Everything must be accurate. Everything must be correct. So these are our 10 tips. Anybody here having a question or anything? No, I'm here. No, any doubts? I hope this is very clear because we're going to have a little story, okay? A little fun here just to show you that after drafting a contract, problems can arise. So let's see what our story is. Everybody knows, most people know this famous TV series Suits, right? They talk about a law firm and the issues that happen in different aspects of law. We're gonna see some little clips here, 3 clips that involved the drafting of a contract. A contract can be drafted anywhere, right? A contract can be drafted, like you're going to see in the story here, in a napkin, in a bar, in the case here in a casino. You can write down there a contract, and that is a contract. But is it going to be valid or not? Is it going to be a good drafting or not? So let's see the little story of what we're talking about. First, here, one aspect of the story before we see the first clip. A contract is voidable, right? As you say here, anulável in Portuguese. Voidable. If one of the parts is intoxicated. So let's say one person drank too much or did something else even worse, right? And is not in their clear mind, sign the paper there and the contract. That contract can be litigated in court, okay? Because the person was mentally impaired. Well, we had, as you say in Portuguese, mentalmente prejudicado when that contract was signed. So, if the person is sober and in sound mind, tá sóbrio e com a mente clara, right? That part is legally able to decide if they want to go ahead with the contract or not. So it's one of the main things also, after the contract is drafted, we need to know if the party is going to sign is mentally able sober. So let's see the first segment.
Didn't sell it. I just put it up as collateral.
On a cocktail napkin at a poker table.
I had aces full of kings.
Well, the odds were with him.
Yeah, come on, you saw it. It was bullshit. The guy...
Okay, what happened in there? We saw that the player lost his company, right? While betting in a poker table. He needed extra chips. He didn't have enough. He had a good hand, right? Okay, I have this excellent hand. I can't lose. I don't have enough chips. Ask the partner, can I borrow your chips? I'll say, okay, I can, but no, we need to make this official. So they sign in the cocktail napkin, no, that you're going to lend me those chips. If I win, I'll give you back those chips plus, in the case here, $500,000. If I lose, you can get my company. That's a contract. It is a contract, right? So, was it going to be valid? As we see, the person was intoxicated, right? So, theoretically, they could be litigated, right? But let's see what happens here. Let's see what is necessary for a contract to be valid. It needs to be legal and binding, means that a contract is valid, can go to court. It needs to have an offer. What was the offer in the story? The offer in the story was, you're going to get me some chips. You give me chips. I'm offering you those chips, those casino chips, right? It has to be accepted. I say, okay, I want those chips. I accept those chips. No, it was accepted. And before the final card, both parties have to have the same idea, no, that the contract will stipulate. So what is stipulating there? That I will get your chips. If I win, I'll give your chips back plus a premium there. So let's see what happened.
Oh, excuse me, I'm terribly sorry. You know what a napkin's good for, Tommy? That's what a napkin's good for.
Peter Lawford called. He wants his tux back.
Right, so we got to see what we have there. The discussion about the validity of that draft contract in the paper. The party that is disputing that because he lost the company is saying that there was no, just a napkin. And the other one said no, because it is a napkin that has all the three requirements that you need to have when you draft a contract. You need to have an offer. You need to have an acceptance, the person accept. And you have to have consideration. That's we got the term here, consideration. What's consideration? As defined by there is a quid pro quo. Means that I get something, you get something. What is being in there is that if I lose, you get my company. If I win, no, you get your $500,000 in the case. So consideration here is what it was important to have in that paper, no? To make a contract become legal, it needs consideration, which is something of value. That's consideration. And it can be any kinds of goods or services. In the case there was the company. No, the company was the consideration of that contract. So let's see the end of the story. Is it going to be something valid in court or not?
And that was the last drink of the night. 16 drinks in 11 hours. In a 180-pound man, that's a blood alcohol level of 0.16%, double the legal limit.
Okay, so what's important here? That even though the person was drunk, okay, the contract is still valid and still gonna go into litigation. Why? Because the lawyer of that party read the contract and made a counter offer to pay back what was lost in the table. So that means the contract was accepted. So we have now all the parts of the contract that was drafted. It was the offer. It was the acceptance. Even though the person was drunk, his lawyer, which represents him, accepted because he made a counter offer. And there was consideration. So the three parts, now the judge cannot dismiss. And the contract was accepted, and the contract was going to go into litigation in court. So what's important when we're drafting contracts? All those 10 things, and make sure that we have an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. So we now stop finishing here. No, I hope that everybody appreciate this class. Everybody will have an idea of how to draft a contract, what's important in draft a contract, and let's continue speaking in English. No, let's be talking in English, like we say here. Keep speaking in English, and I'll see you next class. Be sure that I'll be here, and I'll be expecting you to come more often. Thank you.